Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Octane's Oracle, where today I wanted to talk about something that I recently discovered. Now, in the last couple of weeks, I have been doing a lot of building. I haven't really felt like doing any designing work, that sort of creative stuff. It ebbs and flows and whatever. And while I'm waiting for that desire to keep working on custom sets and other things for the channel to come back, I've been playing a lot of Nintendo games, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, but I've also been doing a lot of building, and this is the first time that I've really noticed some fairly big changes, or I should say one-off errors within some sets, and I think it just absolutely fascinated me. So we're going to talk about them today, and this is about as far end nerdy Lego as you can get, in a sense. And it's just incredible, at least in my opinion, just so fascinating. But either way, the things I want to talk about today revolve around the Jurassic Park T-Rex Rampage set, a amazing set that I'm really loving right now, and I picked mine up after it retired for retail price, which was very lucky. I decided to bite the bullet now instead of waiting 5 years and regretting it, because I really like the Jurassic Park movie, especially after my recent rewatch, and I knew I was going to kick myself. It was already starting to become a white whale set, and well, I pulled the trigger, and it was a set that I wanted to talk about on my channel, but I also just wanted to enjoy the experience of building it and having it, and not do anything like a review or a mock or something. I mean, maybe we'll see something with it later down the line if I come up with something particularly interesting, but I just wanted to enjoy the experience for what it was, and I think that's very understandable. Obviously, great set, as I mentioned. I love all the little references, Arnold's hand, all the figures are great, perfect for the frames. You'll see those at some point. But what I wanted to talk about is what happened when I opened bag number 9. Upon opening bag number 9, I made an interesting discovery. Now, my knowledge of sets before I buy them is fairly limited, I guess. I mean, I usually watch a speed build for most sets that I have an interesting technique or that I'm going to intend to buy. I'll watch a review for ones I'm on the fence of, and the case had been true for the speed build for the Jurassic Park set, but also just not for anything else. And when I did open bag number 9, which is part of the gate in which you build Hammond's ice cream scene, I noticed something odd about the printed pieces, and that was, the donuts were the new donuts. Now, let's just bring everyone up to speed. Tile prints generally exist for about 5 years or so, and then they generally give them an update. The donut piece was introduced with the Simpsons liners and appeared in many sets over the years. It's a medium nougat tile with a donut print on it that has some sprinkles. And as for some sets, obviously I mentioned it came with Homer and like the Quickie Mart. It then proceeded to come in Assembly Square. It's probably been in some Fairground sets. And in 2021, it was upgraded and put in alongside the release of the Police Station modular, I believe was its first appearance. If not, it was later that year in some sets like the Fairground sets in the Summer for Friends. Regardless, it's a piece that's been recently updated in 2021, and obviously, as you well know, that these pieces only get upgraded over time. Obviously, if they've got some older ones left, then they make it into a set's life. But the interesting thing, being released in 2019, the Jurassic Park T-Rex Rampage, the initial run at least, and the instruction manual, both suggest that the donut piece is the old variety, and that was obviously the type I'd seen in the speed build and I'd come to associate with the set. So clearly that meant that the production run of whenever I got my copy, the set was on shelf 2019 to the end of 2021, must have been at least a mid to late 2021 copy, and I just assumed that anyway, just because, most of the originals are probably either sold or opened. So that immediately was just fascinating to me, that I'm able to date my set to the point of 2021. It has to be a 2021 release because that's the piece that was included in it, the new version of that. I mean, a similar thing happened to me with like the NES, where I've never really been around for a piece remold before, but the 1x4 tile with 2 studs at either end and like tile gaps in the middle recently had a change in 2020 where they introduced some like new underlines in the molding, slightly limiting its potential for attachments. However, that's a whole nother separate issue. But what was interesting to me is that I've just never been around for like a mold change before, and that was the first set where I'd noticed, oh wait, this thing's changed, and it'd actually been a while, but it was the first time I noticed in 2020 there. That's sort of a side point. Either way, back to the donuts. So I was able to date it from the donut, but then it got stranger because on the the candy print. So there was the 1x1 swirly candy, like the psychedelic red swirl on the 1x1 round tile. And that's been in sets almost as far back as I can remember, at least 2014, in stuff like the Mini Gingerbread House and Santa's Workshop. But then more recently, the Gingerbread House had one. And then I started to question, well, if this piece is the new updated version for that too, when was it updated? What other sets is it in? And it turns out it's very, 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 very recent, to the point where I'm confused. Because according to Bricklink, it's this new candy swirl piece, which should be on your screen, by the way, please remember, has only ever appeared in this Jurassic Park T-Rex Rampage set. However, the original curly candy piece was the one that appeared in the speed build, is on all the box art, is in the instructions, and has the only piece to appear in every set up until mid-2021, even looking to sets which contain the old candy piece in 2021, such as the Friends Heart Lake City Mall and some of their new fairground sets from last summer. So my question is, what's the point of this new candy print if it's only appeared in this Jurassic Park T-Rex Rampage set? Because no sets in the January rave came with either of these prints, unless they just haven't been classified yet in Brickset. But my point being is, how late into production was my copy that the summer sets, when they were released, still got the old candy piece as per the speed builds from Austrian Brick Fans channel, like that, very clearly the old candy print, and yet my nearly retired copy of the Jurassic Park T-Rex Rampage, which must have been produced at least in June of 2021, didn't get the old version. It got the new version, which is strange to me, because it can't be a mistake, right? It doesn't seem likely. The piece is probably due for an update anyway. But because we didn't see any in the 2022 January sets, I can't make the distinction of whether it is actually like a new piece or something. It's just unclear. So I'm left in this weird predicament where we can very accurately carbon date my copy of Jurassic Park T-Rex Rampage, as in one of the last of its kind ever produced, which is cool. However, I'm left in the position where this is going to sound awful, but I kind of just would have preferred to have the normal prints. Like, as far as the manual and instructions go, I'm supposed to have the other ones. So I am going to keep them in there because they're special and they're wrong, but they're also right and they're the new versions. But for some reason, Jurassic Park T-Rex Rampage in my head should have had the other donuts. And that's where I draw a line on things, apparently. Apparently that's just a disappointment. Either way, it's just one of those things where it's really, really curious to me. I really don't get it, almost. It's fascinating to me. No one else is going to agree with me. It's just the epitome of strange. These pieces are fascinating to me. Really can't work out why I have such a late production run of it. And obviously, considering I bought this off eBay secondhand, it doesn't even make sense. This thing could have been from anywhere in its 2-year run, but no, it's one of the last of its kind ever produced, just because it has these updated prints in it. And I had such a great time discovering it. It was so cool. As for other things I've been building, as I said, I've been encountering some things. In the Jurassic Park manual, there was also a weird printing error where my 1x1 prints with like the little like tuna tin logo didn't print properly, like they weren't on the manual. It was weird. It was like just put a black tile on the top. No, they were the printed varieties. So that was a strange little graphical glitch. But as far as other instruction manual errors going, I bought my ice cream truck, the ice cream truck Getaway, or whatever it's called, with those beautiful ice cream suits. I've talked about that set way too much on the channel. Absolutely loved it. Perfect little play set. The splat pieces are as good as I imagined, but there's an instruction error in the first manual where you're building the ATM, where they tell you to add a piece and then just don't show the piece in the image. Fun. Just another little quirk that I thought I'd pop out, but no, it was a great little set. Finally got my hands on Mario Character Pack Series 4. Maybe I'll do a video with them at some point, but another 7 out of 7 perfect run as far as my feeling goes. Really happy with that series. It's the perfect addition to the character pack lineup, and I've been modifying my display stand, but I've had to modify my display stand more than I thought, because I also managed to pick up the Chain Chomp Dongle Encounter for half price, which was something I knew I wanted, but I didn't really want to pay full price for. However, At the same time, I didn't want to miss out on it because Zelda Bow Wow and the rest of it, so I knew I was going to have to pick it up soon, and it was just so lucky that on the day that I was preparing to grit my teeth, walk into a store and buy it full price, I walked into a store just before I was going and found it for half price. So that was another fun one. The characters are great, side builds alright, and of course the play features in Mario are really the standouts, and the chain chomp flipping over the tree is just geniusly executed. I'm a big fan of that. I also made my obligated purchase into Series 2020, Series 22 even, with the Acorn Suit guy, or I shouldn't really call him that, the Forest Elf. Sort of reminds me of Link, but I also adore that mushroom-like guy next to him. So cute. The Acorn hat's also really nice, and I usually try to get at least one figure from most series just so that I can have the bag for my bag collection. I live a strange life. I also did make a couple of retro purchases. I'm not going to discuss them here because I am making a video about them, but let's just say I've had some up and down purchases recently, the biggest one being the Jurassic Park gate. Set me back a bit on Titanic goals, but apart from that, no, I'm really loving it as a set. So fingers crossed I get the urge to build something creative again soon so that you guys can actually get custom sets and therefore don't hate me for the rest of your lives. But besides that point, I wanted to share my story with the donut. I thought it was incredibly interesting, at least from my perspective, and I love the fact that I can carve and date my set just to a pinpoint of months. It cannot be very long. I'm excited to go and do some more research. I want to look at some reviews of people that bought the Heart Lake mall set a bit later on in its window, stuff like Honeydukes. Like, if someone bought Honeydukes for Christmas, did they get the new swirl print? Because that will help us to identify and date it, and I want to try and work out at what point this thing came into production, because we know it was after August of 2021. And I am ready to go do some detective work on that. So I'm going to finish up here for today. I hope you enjoyed this ramble, and at least one person cares as much about a small donut print as I do. And I will see you next time.